everyone, my name is Dan Kashuck from the band 7 Day Sonnet, and also a YouTube drummer as well, recent YouTube drummer. This is actually my YouTube channel, which you can check out some of my drumming videos that I posted up here. And I also have a link for this channel as well, and feel free to share that with people. I'd much appreciate it. And but today I want to talk some about Evans drum heads, and I'm sitting here next to my Pearl Masters MCX kit, all maple shell, and ever since I switched over to Evans and became a proud member of the Evans artist roster, I really just couldn't be happier. And Evans really is just the perfect head for my Pearl drums. It's just the perfect match. And the thing I like about Evans so much is how many different kinds of heads they have. I mean, it's incredible. I mean, not only do they have a head for every single type of sound you'd want, but they have, even on top of that, they have variations of each head to kind of even zone in more on what you want. And, I feel it's important to recognize the genre that you play, but not only that, even more importantly, the actual style you play, the approach you take to the parts you kind of play, and the drumming you do when you're trying to figure out the sound you want. And when it comes to the sound of your drums, I feel, they say that the actual sound of the drum comes from the drum, the actual shell, which I'm not going to argue that is true. But I strongly feel that it's the drum head that dictates the sound of that drum. So the sound may come from the actual drum itself, but it's the head that dictates the sound. And that's just, I just don't see how anyone can argue that. I mean, you put on different heads, I mean, it sounds like a completely different drum when you use different heads. So it's so important you find the head that's right for you. When I switched over to Evans, the first thing I wanted to figure out was the tom heads I wanted to use, and that's really very important. Is when you're, with the toms, I feel it's by far the most difficult drum to get to sound the way you want out of all the different drums. And I started using the G2s, and it's a great head, but it had a little bit too much ring and high-end twang for me. So I kind of went on the Evans website, which I have the link for here below. And the great thing about this site is you can go on and listen to all the different drum heads they have and scroll through, and they have actual sound samples you can listen to. And it's just so great because with all the different products they have, it can be overwhelming to choose. So it's important you go on the site, and there's a remedy for that. Actually go in and listen and figure out what you want. So I kind of went on there and scrolled through, and I was like, I need a tom head that kind of has less of that high-end twang and ring, which drowns out some of my articulation. And it has, because when it comes to a tom, I really like that thick, full sound. And the Evans EC2 just hit it right on the money. I mean, it's got this ring around the backside, which kind of minimizes that ring and high-end twang overtones, and just and it's just a little bit thicker and darker, so it gives you that thick, rich, full sound that you want in a tom without getting rid of all that attack. So you can still hear all your busy tom work and stuff, and the articulation is great, but it's got that heavy, that intense, that sharp attack with the thick, full tone. So if you like the kind of tones that I do in a drum, I'd check out the EC2, but make sure you go on that site and check out what you want. And here's an example of kind of what I'm talking about. So as you can see, that's just kind of an example of that thick, rich, full tone that you get from these heads, but you can still hear that attack. And so, all I did was just find the head that was right for me, and I couldn't be happier. So make sure you do the same. And then the second thing I'd like to talk about for the toms, and one thing that I think people overlook, is how important the bottom head is. I mean, the bottom head is so important for how your drum sounds. Not only does it have to be tuned right, but the actual head that you use in the bottom really changes the sound. And I was using a one-ply head before, and I was getting this kind of that high-end twang again, even when I would switch heads, and I was like, why am I still getting this? And so I started to think, maybe I should try some different bottom heads. So I went on the Evans website again, and sure enough, they have a whole section for bottom tom heads. I believe they call it tom reso heads. And so I started scrolling through, and I clicked on the sound sample for the one I was using, just the standard G1 one-ply, and it had that high-end twang and that ring, which some drummers may love, but I personally, it's just not my cup of tea. So I kind of scrolled through some other heads, and I found this head called G+, and I was like, what's this? And it's just basically a G1 with just a couple extra millimeters of thickness in the ply. And I clicked on it, and I was like, wow, I mean, this is just like exactly what I was looking for. It had that thick, rich, full, round tone that I was looking for. So I slapped some of these on my toms, and, as you can see from that clip I just played, it definitely contributed a lot towards that full, round tone that I was looking for. So bottom head's very important, and Evans basically, you go on that site, and they have a plethora of bottom heads to choose from, and it's just really great because you can really even zone in more on what you're looking for. So don't overlook the bottom heads, because Evans got what you're looking for. Next, I'd like to talk about probably one of the my favorite heads that I've ever played, and it's the Evans hybrid snare drum head. And this is a head that was originally used for marching, or originally designed rather for a marching band snare head. And I didn't even know about it until my tour manager / drum tech told me about it on tour. And he's like, you should check out this hybrid head. I mean, it lasts forever, and the tone is great. It's got this different material. He's like, it looks like jeans. I mean, it looks like denim on the top. And I was like, wow, that does sound interesting. And I went and checked it out, and it's got a different kind of coating on top, and it just lasts so long. I mean, it just, I use this for like 3 or 4 months on tour. So if you're looking for a durable snare head, which obviously, the snare head takes an incredible beating, but you still want a great sounding head with a lot of attack, Evans hybrid is definitely what you should definitely check it out. And here's an example again of what I'm talking about. So you can hear the articulation there, and it's just, and it's just got a great tone, and it just lasts forever. Instead of changing your head every 2 shows on tour, I mean, you'll change your head, maybe you can get away with, even going a month, 2, maybe even 3 months with this head, like I did, and, playing a show almost every night, and you'll still get that tone, and it barely will even see the wear marks. I mean, it's incredible. So this is just one of the best sounding snare drum heads I've ever played, and it just lasts forever, which, what more could you ask for? So definitely recommend checking that out. Third thing I'd like to talk about, the fourth thing rather, is the bass drum batter head, and this is kind of, I personally, the genre that I've been playing requires a lot of footwork, and my own style of play, I like to take that kind of approach to my drum work. I like a prominent bass drum in my playing usually, unless the song or the part of the song doesn't call for that. Obviously you have to play for the song, but in general that's kind of my style of playing. I really like prominent bass drum work, and I practice a lot of bass drum work, and I need a bass drum head that really fits that kind of mold and that style, something that has a lot of articulation without a lot of ring. And so I went on the Evans website again, and I scrolled through some of the sounds, and I found the Evans EQ2. It's a clear bass drum head, and it's pretty thick. It's a 2-ply head, but pretty thick, 2 thick plies, and it's got 2 plastic rings on the inside to kind of minimize the ring even more. And then you can even use foam rings on top of that, which I do, to take away even more ring. But with this head, like, you can literally just put it on, and you don't even need to put any of your laundry or anything like that, or pillows in your bass drum. You're pretty much good to go, and you're going to have perfect articulation. And here's kind of an example of what I'm talking about. hear that articulation, and it's just so great. And all that low end stuff with the drum, with the bass drum, all that stuff comes through, especially when it's mic'd up with the bass drum. I think it's important. You want to find that articulation first, and that attack, and make sure that your tone and your articulation is where it wants to be. Because once you mic it up, you can't really gain that when it's mic'd up usually. Unless you put triggers or different effects on it. But the low end will always ways to bring that low end out on your kick. But if the articulation is not there to begin with, you're gonna have trouble finding that when it's amped up at the live show. So I think it's important to find that articulation, and that tone first, and worry about the low end later. But I feel that this is a great head for people who love busy footwork. Because you can just really hear every note so well as you just heard. Cool, so yeah, now that I've talked about kind of each individual drum on the kit and what heads I like to use for those, now here's a clip of me kind of putting it all together and seeing how each head kind of sounds together with each drum. That's pretty much it for now. These are the heads that I've been using, but like I said, not everyone has the same style as I do and preferences. So be sure to go check out the Evans website. The link's right here for it, and listen to the sound samples. And like I said, they have everything you want, every choice you want, and then some. And that's the beauty of it. So like I said, I'm a proud member of Evans Artist Roster. I couldn't be happier. Thanks for watching this video. If you have any questions for me on the heads that I use, or Evans heads in general, or any drumming questions at all, feel free to comment below. Send me a message, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I'd love to hear from you. So, and be sure to share this video. And thanks again, and hopefully I'll see you out there.